Morning, beautiful souls. Today I'm going to share a few words on the Ascension process. So, first of all, everything that has happened, every experience you have experienced in your life so far is all preparation. It's all preparation work for the path that lies ahead. So just consider that for a little bit. You might want to meditate on that for a bit, just to feel into it. And it all begins from when you first arrived into this earth. So before you even came here, you chose your parents and you chose how you wanted to experience this earth plane at this time. That might seem very tricky to comprehend, and you don't have to take my word for it. You know, this is what I know to be true for me. And so you choose your parents before you come in, and you choose some of the key experiences you wish to feel in the physical body whilst you're here on the earth plane. You also carefully choose your point of entry into the earth plane, so where you're actually born is very significant to this whole process that you're going through right now. So consider where you were actually born and just say the word out loud and just feel into that. How does that place sound? The next thing I want to just bring up to your attention is that you also chose your name. Now, I know a lot of people change their names and also, some people just go by, like, say, nicknames, and all of these things are very significant, okay? So the name that you're actually born with, the name that you would have hopefully have communicated to your parents before you actually were born, is a very significant name. So say that name out loud and just feel into that as well. What does that mean to you? How does that feel for you? You might also want to consider if you've always used a different name, and if there's anything that has put you off your real name. Is there anything that became too heavy? Sometimes when we're growing up, our parents use our main name for when we're doing something that is displeasing to them. Dog owners do it as well with their dogs. Like there was a dog, and I use this as an example because I just love the name so much, but there's this dog called Albus Dumbledore around here, and normally he's just called Albie, and so, oh, Albie, and Albie's being all sweet and cute and doing whatever, but when Albie is rolling in something not so fun for the parents, the dog parents, he's suddenly Albus Dumbledore. So to give you an idea, some people choose to stay with their nicknames, their friendly names, the names that feel safe for them, because the other name is just all too scary, and there's connotation put into that person when they're young that name's not safe. So or it carries too much burden. So just consider that as well, because these names, that name, your name, and then the name of where you were born, are to be considered because you chose them. And there's a reason why you chose them. So look at the map, meditate on this. If you don't meditate, meditation is so important. It is the way. It is the way. You must meditate. Now, what do I want to say next on this? Well, obviously all of the experiences that have led you to now are all preparing you. So quite clearly your work is not done yet, because most people that are awake or awakening have had usually some pretty challenging experiences, because they've needed to be to wake them up. Because when we come through to this planet, we go through this veil of amnesia, which basically stops us from remembering the truth of our soul. Stops us remembering the truth of our essence. So we need to recall that, and that's why we go through this process of awakenings here on the planet. And usually our highest self goes, oh my god, this one's not going to wake up. So it gives us some big bumps, gives us some bumps in the road. And so when I refer to bumps in the road, usually that's the highest self putting in some interest to assist us to awaken to our divine mission whilst we're here in these beautiful physical beautiful physical bodies. So the other thing that I haven't said yet is that you're also born into a star sign, and each star sign, or at least each element, carries a certain frequency with it as well. So, and I'm not an astrologist, so you might also just want to consider that, because there's quite a lot of information in that can be very useful to you along your journey. You can dip in and out. You can also look at the numerology of your name, the date you were born and things like that, because that will also give you clues. If you're looking for something externally to yourself, you can find out all of this through meditation. But because all of this is a process, and because the ascension path does take time through our lives, then, I mean, for me, I have looked into so many different things. I have been a real investigator. I have explored. I have felt into things. I have read so many books, like you would not imagine how many books I've read. And now I've got to that point where, okay, I read books now, but it's not so hungrily devoured, because I'm comfortable understanding that I can get all of the information from within. I don't need anything external. And yet at the moment, now that I've made that peace, and I'm not really sure how long it's been that I've made that peace, but suddenly everybody wants to impart this with me and impart that with me, and that's lovely and that's beautiful. But you get to a point where you realize that your linear time is incredibly precious, and how you live your life is to be really honored, really honored. Your linear time is to be honored. So you consider how many linear hours, and I say linear hours because in other dimensions we don't have this same time frame that we have here on the earth plane. So consider how you want to live your life. Consider how you want it to be. I mean, this is something that is so important. And then be intentional about how you live your life. You know, this is all part of why you're here. Really important. And consider going back to childhood again in your memory, and just think about all of those things that you loved when you were younger. What filled you up? Because when you're young, you're so much closer to your highest aspects, because you haven't had all of this experiences getting in the way of clouding your judgment and clouding and putting walls up around your heart. So when you're really, really young and you're so beautiful and vulnerable and pure, you tend to sort of like zoom around the room riding a broomstick and pretending you're riding a horse or something, or you know, you do these wonderful magical things. And there's so much truth in the things that you do when you're little that tell you what you should be doing as your mission whilst you're here on the earth. And this is all part of your ascension. This is all part of living life, because you must be doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is what brings you joy. Because when people are joyful and they're doing things that they love, they emit a certain frequency, and that assists the whole collective. And we're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to be full of joy. And that's our essence. That's when we're in the flow. That's when we're not putting up resistance. We're not putting up heart walls. We're living from our hearts. And ascension is essentially about living from the heart. Living from the heart. Being heart. Being love. Embodying love. How would love act in this state? How would love act in this situation? How would love act with this very tricky person? How would love act with this wild animal at the side of the road that needs assistance? How would love act? How would love act with this piece of rubbish on the floor? How would love act when you trip over and fall? You know, this is all part of the path. All of the experiences are leading us and assisting us for what lies ahead. But you get to choose what lies ahead. You get to choose. How do you want this to be? How do you want to be? Are you being really truthful with yourself? Are you doing what you love to do whilst in these incredible physical bodies? So this is just a little bit of something to meditate on, to consider. You are love, you're beautiful, you're loved. God bless you all, and